Vyākaraṇa literally means explanation, analysis, and also refers to one of the 6 ancient Vedangas, or ancillary science connected with the Vedas, the scriptures of Hinduism. Vyākaraṇa is the study of grammar and linguistic analysis in Sanskrit language. Panini and Yaska are the 2 celebrated ancient scholars of Vyākaraṇa. Both are dated to several centuries prior to the start of the Common Era, with Panini likely from the 5th century BCE. Pāṇini's Aṣṭādhyāyī is the most important surviving text of the Vyākaraṇa traditions. This text consists of 8 chapters, each divided into 4 padas, cumulatively containing 4,000 sutras. The text is preceded by abbreviation rules grouping the phonemes of Sanskrit. Pāṇini quotes 10 ancient authorities, whose texts have not survived, but they are believed to have been Vyākaraṇa scholars. Vyākaraṇa is related to the 4th Vedanga called Nirukta. The Vyākaraṇa scholarship has dealt with linguistic analysis to establish the exact form of words to properly express ideas, while Nirukta scholarship has focused on linguistic analysis to help establish the proper meaning of the words, given the context they are used in. Etymology. Vyākaraṇa means separation, distinction, discrimination, analysis, explanation of something. It also refers to one of the 6 Vedangas, or the Vedic field of language analysis, specifically grammatical analysis, grammar, linguistic conventions, which creates, polishes, helps a writer express and helps a reader discriminate accurate language. The word Vyākaraṇa is also found in Mahayana Sutras and 1st millennium Mahayana Buddhist texts, but with a different meaning. Vyākaraṇa in these Buddhist texts means a prediction, a prophecy by a Buddha to a bodhisattva who has just embarked on the path, that he will achieve enlightenment and be a Buddha. History. Vyākaraṇa emerged as a distinct auxiliary field of Vedic study in ancient times. Its aim was to prevent sloppy usage and transmission of the Vedic knowledge, states Howard Coward, a professor emeritus at the University of Victoria and the founding editor of the Journal for Hindu-Christian Studies. Vyākaraṇa helped ensure that the Vedic scriptures of Hinduism and its message of Sabda Brahman that Vedic rishis had realized by their efforts, remains available to all in a pristine form. In Indian traditions, Vyākaraṇa has been one of the most important sciences, one extensively studied over its history, and that led to major treatises in the philosophy of language. Panini and Yaska, 2 celebrated ancient scholars of Vyākaraṇa, are both dated to several centuries prior to the start of the Common Era, likely the 5th century BCE. However, both of them cite prior scholars and texts, which, though lost to history, imply that the field of Vyākaraṇa was an established and developed science of language before them. Between the 2, Yaska may be the older one and more known for Nirukta, the 4th auxiliary field of Vedic studies, but the evidence for him preceding Panini is scanty and uncertain. In terms of dedicated treatise on Vyākaraṇa, Panini is the most recognized ancient Hindu scholar, and his Aṣṭādhyāyī is the most studied extant ancient manuscript on Sanskrit grammar. Pāṇini's fame spread outside India, and the reverence for ancient Panini in northwest India is mentioned in Chinese texts of Xuanzang, the 7th century traveler and scholar. The study of grammar and the structure of language is traceable to the Rig Veda, or 2nd millennium BCE, in hymns attributed to sage Sakalya. Sakalya is acknowledged by Pāṇini's works. The literary evidence that the science of Vyākaraṇa existed in Vedic times abound in the Brahmanas, Aranyakas and Upanishads, states Moritz Wintonitz. The extant manuscripts of Panini and Yaska suggest that the Vedic age had competing schools of grammar. One school, for example, held that all nouns have verbal roots, while another held that not all nouns have verbal roots. However, it is unclear how, who or when these ancient Vedic theories of grammar originated, because those texts have not survived into the modern era. Pre-Paninian schools. There were many schools of Sanskrit grammar in ancient India, all established before the mid-1st millennium BCE. Panini's Aṣṭādhyāyī, which eclipsed all other ancient schools of grammar, mentions the names of 10 grammarians. Closing parenthesis. Some of these pre-Paninian scholars mentioned by Panini include Apasali, Kasyapa, Gargya, Galava, Cakravarmana, Bharadvaja, Sarkatyana, Sakulya, Senaka and Svatiyana. The works of most these authors are lost, but we find reference of their ideas in the commentaries and rebuttals by later authors. Yaska's Niruksha is one of the earliest surviving texts, and he mentions Sarkatyana, Kraustuki, Gargya among others. Post-Paninian schools. Panini's Aṣṭādhyāyī is the most ancient text and manuscript on Vyākaraṇa. It is a complete and descriptive treatise on Sanskrit grammar in aphoristic sutras format. This text attracted a famous and one of the most ancient Bhashu called the Mahabhāsya. The author of Mahabhāsya is named Patanjali, who may or may not be the same person as the one who authored Yoga Sutras. The Mahabhāsya, literally great commentary, is more than a commentary on Aṣṭādhyāyī. It is, states Aṣṭādhyāyī, the earliest known philosophical text of the Hindu grammarians. Non-Hindu texts and traditions on grammar emerged after Patanjali, some of which include the Sanskrit grammar text of Jainendra of Jainism and the Chandra school of Buddhism. Patanjali's great grammatical discourse is regarded as a classical model for academic texts. It is written with a great deal of didactic skill as a dialogue in clear, simple Sanskrit, and contains many enlightening examples. One notices that the text follows in the tradition of instruction, similar to the dialogue style of the Western classics of antiquity. Annette Wilker and Oliver Mebus, later Indian scholars, simplified Panini rules, and trimmed his compilation of sutras to essential 1,400 from comprehensive 4,000, eliminating those they felt were too difficult and complicated. Non-Hindu traditions, such as Jainism and Buddhism, developed their own Vyākaraṇa literature, but all of them are dated to the 1st millennium CE. All of them condensed Panini, accepted and flowered largely from his theories of Vyākaraṇa. The 5th century Hindu scholar Bhartrihari has been the next most influential Vyakarana thinker, wherein he presented his philosophy of grammar and how language affects thoughts. His theories on philosophical problem of meaning, contained in the text Vikipedia, has been unique, states Aṣṭādhyāyī. Bhartrihari is considered to be a major architect of the Sphota theory of meaning in the Hindu traditions. Bhartrihari ideas were widely studied, but challenged as well in the last half of the 1st millennium CE, particularly by the ritual-driven Mimamsa school of Hindu philosophy and by Dharmakirti of Buddhism. The Advaita Vedanta school of Hinduism defended the ideas of Bhartrihari. About the 7th century, the text Kashakavriti text co-authored by Jayaditya and Vamana, and the 10th century, Hellaraj's studies on Vyakarana were next major milestone. These Hindu texts were not only commented in Hindu tradition, but were the foundation of works of the Buddhist Jinendrabadi, who is known for his grammar insights in Buddhist literature. The most studied Vyakarana scholars of early and mid-2nd millennium CE are Kazirus Vaman, Haradatta, Maitreya Rakshita, and Ayuta. The modern-era Vyākaraṇa scholars have included Bhartoji Dikshita, Konda Bhatta and Nagesha Bhatta. Location. In terms of the place of Vyākaraṇa scholarship over South Asian history, from ancient to 16th century, Kashmir, Kerala, Nepal, Andhra Pradesh, Varanasi and Bengal have been influential, but the location of many Vyākaraṇa scholars is unknown. Texts. Panini's text Aṣṭādhyāyī is in sutras format, has 8 chapters, and cumulative total of 4,000 sutras. These rules are preceded by a list of 14 groups of sounds, in 3 sections called the Shiva Sutra, Pratyahara Sutra and Maheshwara Sutra. The Aṣṭādhyāyī groups the rules of language, for clear expression and understanding, into 2, the verbal and the nominal bases. The text consists of an analytical part covered in the first 5 chapters, and a synthetic part found in the last 3 chapters. The Aṣṭādhyāyī manuscript has survived with sets of ancillary texts whose dates of composition and authors are contested. The main text is notable for its details and systematic nature, syntactic functions and arranging the sutras in an algorithmic fashion where the grammar rules typically apply in the order of sutras. The Aṣṭādhyāyī sutras were widely studied and a subject of Bhashya tradition of Hinduism. The oldest emendation and commentary on the Aṣṭādhyāyī is attributed to Katyayana, followed by the famous Mahabhashya of Patanjali, which has survived into the modern age. Other commentaries on the Aṣṭādhyāyī likely existed, because they are cited by other Indian scholars, but these texts are believed to be lost to history. Discussion. Panini writes that the Anjana is the superseding authority, and the theoretically derived meaning of a word must be discarded and instead superseded by that which is the popular usage. The author of Aṣṭādhyāyī is established by popular usage at the time the text was composed, not by etymological theory nor historical usage nor later usage. A sentence is a collection of words, a word is a collection of phonemes, states Panini. The meaning of Vedic passages has to be understood through context, the purpose stated, keeping in mind the subject matter being discussed, what is stated, how, where and when. The Aṣṭādhyāyī tradition of Sanskrit language, with some reservations, accepts the premise that all words have verbal roots, and that words are created by affixing fragments to these roots. However, Panini asserts that it is impossible to derive all nouns from verbal roots. The Aṣṭādhyāyī is primarily focused on the study of words, how words are formed, and their correct architecture. However, it does not exclude syntax. Panini includes the discussion of sentence structure. The text, state Howdan Raja, describes compound word formation based on syntactic and semantic considerations, such as in Sutra 2.1.1. What is a correct sentence? Panini asserts that a proper sentence has a single purpose, and is formed from a group of words such that, on analysis, the separate words are found to be mutually expecting each other. A sentence, states Panini, must have syntactic unity, which includes mutual expectancy of the words and phonetic contiguity of construction. Panini adds semantic fitness, but not tacitly. He accepts that a sentence can be grammatically correct even if it is semantically inappropriate or a deviant. What does a word mean? The Aṣṭādhyāyī describes numerous usage of words, and how the meaning of a word is driven by overall context of the sentences and composition it is found in. The popular usage and meaning of a word at the time the text was composed supersedes the historical or etymologically derived meanings of that word. A word has the conventional meaning at the time the text was composed, but it is not so when it is quoted from another prior art text. In the latter case, the Sanskrit word is suffixed with et, wherein it means what the prior text meant it to be. Yaska asserted that both the meaning and the etymology of words is always context-dependent. Syntax, verbs and words. Vyākaraṇa in the Hindu traditions has been a study of both the syntax structure of sentences, as well as the architecture of a word. For instance, Panini asserts that grammar is about the means of semantically connecting a word with other words to express and understand meaning, and words are to be analyzed in the context they are used. Aṣṭādhyāyī is quoted in Patanjali's Mahabhāsya on Vyākaraṇa as asserting the nature of a sentence as follows. Aṣṭādhyāyī similarly, Sayana asserts the scope of Vyākaraṇa to be as follows. Sayana, a word that is a verb, is concerned with bhava, while a noun is concerned with sattva. Sattva and bhava are two aspects of the same existence seen from the static and dynamic points of view. Verbs, according to Vyākaraṇa, indicate action in a temporal sequence, while nouns are static elements, states Kunjani Raja. Patanjali's Mahabhāsya. Patanjali's 2nd century BCE Mahabhāsya is another important ancient text in Vyākaraṇa scholarship. It not a full commentary on everything Panini wrote in Aṣṭādhyāyī, but it is more a commentary on Aṣṭādhyāyī's text on grammar called Vedangas, as well as the ideas of Vyādi. While Aṣṭādhyāyī's editions have survived, Vyādi have not. The Aṣṭādhyāyī's text reflects an admiration for Panini, an analysis of his rules, the simplification and refinement. The differences between the grammar rules of Panini and of Aṣṭādhyāyī may be because of historical changes to Sanskrit language over the centuries. State Howard Coward and Kunjani Raja. Bhartrihari's Vyākaraṇa. The Vyākaraṇa of Bhartrihari is a treatise on the philosophy of language, building on the insights of prior Vyākaraṇa scholarship. According to Bhartrihari, states Schaffstein, all thought and all knowledge are words. Every word has an outward expression and inward meaning. A word may have a definition in isolation, but it has meaning only in the context of a sentence. Grammar is a basic science in the Hindu traditions, explains Schaffstein, where it is externally expressed as relations between words, but ultimately internally understood as reflecting relations between the different levels of reality. Word is considered a form of energy in this Hindu text, one with the potential to transform a latent mind and realize the soul. Language evolves to express the transient material world first, and thereon to express feelings, the human desire for meaning in life and the spiritual inner world. Roots of words in Yaska's time. Nirukta etymology was in fact a school which gave information of formation of words, the etymological derivation of words. According to the Niruktish or etymologists, all nouns are derived from a verbal root. Yaska defends this view and attributes it to Aṣṭādhyāyī, while others believe that there are some words which are rudi words. Rudi means custom, meaning they are a part of language due to custom, and a correspondence between the word and the thing if it be a noun, a correspondence between an act and the word if it be a verb root. Such word cannot be derived from verbal roots. Yaska also reports the view of Gargya, who opposed Aṣṭādhyāyī, who held that certain nominal stems were atomic and not to be derived from verbal roots. Influence. The Vyākaraṇa texts have been highly influential on Hindu philosophies. The concept of a sentence defined by Panini, for instance, influenced and was similar to Jaimini, the later-era founder of Mimamsa school of Hindu philosophy. However, ritual-focused Mimamsa school scholars were generally opposed to central ideas of the Hindu grammarians, while others Hindu schools such as Vedanta championed them. Panini's work on Vyākaraṇa has been called by George Cardona as one of the greatest monuments of human intelligence.